Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. We are continuing to read Umineko, a very good but very long story, but I'm enjoying every bit of it. I know when we eventually get to the ending of this story, I will want more, just as I still want more Higurashi. But real quick, let's double check OBS Chan. Bah! OBS seems to be working just fine. At that time, I looked at a dim outdoor light and saw the silhouette of a person in front of it. I thought, I must be seeing things. After all, it was unthinkable that someone could have been standing there this whole time, pounded upon by the rain, without even an umbrella. However, the silhouette didn't move an inch, and maybe, no, it couldn't be. It was looking at me, and it was... Grandfather? At that moment I understood. Grandfather's probably been watching us solve the riddle this whole time, and he watched as we spectacularly solved the whole thing. Humph. Without a doubt, there was a faint smile on Grandfather's face. Grandfather, who had never worn anything except moody and frightening expressions. Looked me in the eye and smiled at me for the first time, almost as though he was saying, "How impudent," or else, "I never thought it would be you." However, this is still the result that Grandfather's epitaph chose, so I'm sure he accepted that result. In the end, he grinned one more time. Of course, he didn't use words. His smile seemed to be wordlessly saying, "Well done." I didn't know how I should respond. I couldn't do anything but stand there in shock, ignoring Erica as she crouched down, mumbling with her back towards me. Then, Grandfather stretched a hand out from the folds of his cloak and pointed at something. When I looked in that direction, there was... the thing he was pointing at was probably the signpost to the Golden Land. Go. I'm sure Grandfather said that one word. I nodded to show that I understood. After watching that, Grandfather nodded back, satisfied. Then, with a spin of his cloak, he disappeared, seeming to melt into the darkness. The expression on his face at the end was a smile that was, for the first time, truly satisfied.
Are you listening, Battler-san? Did you hear my reasoning?
I've found it. That's the signpost to the Golden Land.
Huh? Ah. It's facing a different direction than it's used to. I see. So it means go that way. You've got some pretty good powers of observation.
Grandfather told me about it.
Huh? Kinzo-san? Where is he?
I'm going. Let's have a look at what you're showing us. Just what is this Golden Land? We started to walk. The entrance to the Golden Land was right there. So, my epitaph has finally been solved, and it was Battler who did it. Wonderful. Couldn't be better. When I think about it, I was also ahead that no one saw coming. How amusing that the one to succeed me is just as surprising. I have no more regrets in life. Beatrice, I am coming to join you, along with a present, the miracle chosen by my epitaph, Battler of all people, that Battler. At the very, very end of my life, I have seen a true miracle. At the very end of my life, I have seen a true miracle. Beatrice, I've won this bet. Wahaha. Why does that kind of remind me of the scene at the aquarium from episode 2? Yahoo! Except for its non-corrosive properties, there's no practical way to turn gold into money. I imagine it'd take a lot of work to exchange all of this for cash. At the end of a crude underground tunnel, in a VIP room, so beautiful it seemed improper, was a pile of gold so large there could be no doubting its 20 billion yen worth. Erica was calm, but Battler couldn't suppress his excitement as for which of the two was the correct reaction to show. After seeing a mountain of gold, only those who saw the scene with their own eyes could say for sure. In this day and age, it is said that an average salaryman earns about 200 million yen in wages over his life. And this is 20 billion yen worth of gold. With even 1/100th of this gold mountain, a single human could live their entire life without working. What is labor? Isn't it the very point of a human's life, since a person who doesn't work cannot eat? If so, then 200 million yen is enough to make a single person's life complete. And this is 20 billion yen. This would account for the labors of 100 humans. No, a single human life 100 times over. Of course, if you still wanted to work, you could. Any money you gained as a result could be used to play with. After all, you already have enough money to live for your entire life. No, for eternity. No, wait, I mustn't keep it all to myself. I can split it up among 100 people. If I could create a world where a full 100 humans wouldn't have to work for their whole lives, just what kind of world would that be? Yeah, there's no doubt about it at all. This is the Golden Land. There you go. Burn Battler magnificently discovered the gold. Congrats! I had her hide the more central parts of it, but what's wrong with being just a little mean, right? Sure. Do that as much as you like. I'm not interested in the micro details about what kind of riddle it was or what kind of answer it had. The important thing is that as a result, 10 tons of gold were discovered. The gold was discovered in the third game as well by Aunt Ava. Aunt Rosa also witnessed it. However, the two of them hadn't spoken of the gold's discovery to anyone. In other words, there was a chance that the gold's discovery was a cat box truth kept between the two of them. More specifically, it was possible the gold didn't exist and was just an illusion. However, I have finally found it. The cat box has been opened. It'd be a waste of time to do that. Repeat it, game. So I'll give you a little bonus. This mountain of gold is real. All of the ingots piled up here are real. Pure gold. The purest. There are absolutely no tricks, such as replicas or fakes. Okay, got it. I'll accept that this gold exists. However, there are still some things I can't accept. Of course, you met with him, didn't you? With Kinzo. Giggle. Even though Kinzo's supposedly an illusion, you met with him just a second ago, right? That's perfectly fine. We're just the game is about arguing whether or not witches exist in the context of Rakanjima. Witches and magic are allowed to exist outside the play of things, and, you know, Kinzo can be dead, and Kinzo can just be an illusion to everyone else, but the actual ghost of Kinzo can exist, and it could have spoken to me, or Battler could have imagined it too. Either way, there's an explanation that doesn't require Beatrice to be an actual witch on the 2 days of Rakanjima who was involved in the events. Like I said, faith and skepticism, both important. I guess that really was magic, wasn't it? Ghosts are not magic. Ridiculous. I didn't exchange any words with Grandfather. I only felt as though Grandfather and I had exchanged words. Give it a rest. The same move won't work again. In that case, you're blue truth, if you please. I was probably in an excited state after solving the epitaph's riddle. Then I mistook something for Grandfather. For example, maybe there was some kind of sheet or cover that had gotten caught in a dark grove of trees. Or it was an actual ghost. But it doesn't mean it was the same ghost illusion of Natsui and Beatrice. Or it could have been the woman that we already know about. You know, Saya, also known as Shannon, who was actually Beatrice. And she could have just been standing there. Or maybe it was Genji dressed up as Kenzo. Or it was just an actual ghost, but doesn't mean it's the same ghost that Natsui was speaking to. Natsui could have just had like schizophrenia or something. Or been pretending. And we actually saw an actual ghost that had nothing to do with her. Which looked like Grandfather wearing a pitch-black cloak. As a result, I mistakenly thought that I had some sort of conversation with Grandfather. Blue truth valid. Well, I did say the exact same thing in blue. So, did it work? Where's your counter with the red truth? I have none. At least not now, okay? Giggle. The me who'd let out a strange yell in front of the gold mountain was finally starting to regain his cool. Now that we found it, there's no covering it up. I vaguely considered keeping this discovery a secret. However, Erica wanted to prove that her own reasoning was correct by announcing this to everyone. She really is an intellectual rapist, just as she says. The puzzle-solving game is what's important to her, and she doesn't intend to take any responsibility for what happens after the riddle is solved. A riddle is sort of like a lock. Locks exist to be locked, and they're only significant when they're locked. Therefore, it ought to be essential to have some goal in mind when exposing such a thing. However, to this girl, the act of exposing is itself her final goal. Trying to think of the word. Intellectual voyeurism? Intellectual exorcism? Intellectual exhibitionism? Whatever. You guys know what I'm trying to say. And she has no intention of taking responsibility for anything that happens later. Maybe the true storm to hit Rakunjima isn't the typhoon but her. She won't keep this discovery secret. She'll definitely announce it so she can brag about her success. Then she'll call the real storm down upon this island. I won't be able to keep this covered up. In that case, there's nothing to do but announce this fact fairly to all. I can't imagine what'll happen after that. We do need to take 1 bar of the gold as proof. As she grinned, Erica muttered to herself. She must have been anticipating the uproar that the relatives would soon bring about. To her, merely imagining that was far sweeter than the 20 billion yen in gold. Simply by the existence of the epitaph in that place, this level of reasoning is possible for Furido. Erica, what do you think, everyone? Okay, so we are at like 10:46, 10:47 at night. The murders are going to start happening soon. Knock. The sudden sound of someone banging fiercely on the door brought Natsui to her senses. She had probably nodded off in the study while planning how they would overcome the next day. But what could it be? At a time like this, more importantly, the knock itself was strange. If someone wanted to contact her, they could have just used the internal phone line. She had told them that she'd be here. Realizing that something strange was going on, Natsui shook her head one more time, completely throwing off her drowsiness. Father, it's Ava. I have an urgent, vital matter to discuss with you. It was Ava's voice. What is this? I thought I told them to lock the doors and windows of the mansion tightly after everyone left for the guest house. So why is Ava here? Natsui ran up to the door, responded with a small knock, and spoke through the door in a quiet voice. What is it? You're too noisy. Natsue-ne-san, why are you in Father's study at this hour? I told you to be quiet. Have you forgotten that the head values peace and silence more than anything else? Now is not the time to be saying that. Stop harping on that and open up quickly. Bring Father out. The head just went to sleep. I don't know what business you have, but I will deal with it tomorrow. I don't have any business with you. Just open up right now. Sometimes multiple schemes and assumptions can fall apart due to the most direct and simple of emotional strategies. By the way, you just confirmed that Kenzo is in the study and you're the last person to witness him. Any possibility of using Gape's strategy has now been completely destroyed unless you kill Ava. This is bad. If I open the door, Ava will probably throw herself forwards and rush into the study. Now I can't even open this door. At that moment, the phone suddenly rang. It's okay. Both of the keys to the study are like we're in such a rush to go the next day. Like the sun rose up, and it's next day. It's like the night is over. Both of the keys to the study are here. No one can open this door. Natsui inched away from the door and grabbed the receiver. Hello? It's Natsui. It's me. Things are bad. I want you to come down to the parlor quickly. It was from Kraus. His tone was strained. What in the world happened? It would seem that Battler-kun and this guest called Erica solved the witch's epitaph and found the gold. Huh? Is that true? Rudolph and the rest have forced their way in. They're saying Battler-kun will show everyone the way to the hidden gold. Right now, Ava-san is just outside the study door, yelling at me to open it. But if I do it now, she might push her way inside. I understand. I will go there too. Don't worry about Ava. Just stay there and don't do anything. I'll give you a signal once I've gotten Ava away from the door, so leave as soon as you hear that. Ready? Right after that, Kraus came up the staircase, accompanied by Genji. A heated debate started between him and Ava. Open up, no, calm down. In the middle of that, there was a small knock as a signal. Kraus had cleverly pushed Ava away from the door and distracted her. During that gap, Natsui slipped out of the study and quickly shut the door. Ava noticed this and her face twisted in disappointment. But the heavy sound of the auto lock had already rung out, and the door had been sealed. Did you believe the keys inside the study? The gold of the epitaph has been found. It's only natural that we should inform Father about this, or else what? Is there some reason you can't tell Father about this? Father gave strict orders that he is not to be awakened no matter what after he went to bed. Following those orders is the duty of the head's representative. Isn't that right, Genji-san? Yes, the master's sleep must not be disturbed, no matter what happens. Even a rule like that depends on time and circumstances, doesn't it? I mean, the epitaph was solved. Father has a right to know straight away. Of course, the two of us will report on everything to the head tomorrow. That's our duty as the head's representatives. I don't care about that. Come on, just open this door. Let me see Father. Father, can you hear me? It's Ava. Please open up. Ow, 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 let go of me. That hurts. We're telling you to listen to us. Don't knock on the door so loudly. Ow, ouch, ow, 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 ow. Let go of me. Kraus-sama, Ava-sama, the master is sleeping. Please refrain from disturbing him any further. When Genji spoke firmly, the two finally ceased their scuffle. It seemed that Genji, the one who had spoken for Kinzo since they were very young, still possessed an air of dignity, strong enough to handle both Kraus and Ava. Ava put her argument aside for the time being. She could hold off worrying about that until after she saw the gold with her own eyes. After all, not even Ava had seen it for herself yet. Natsui and the others had managed to somehow deal with the momentary crisis. Lunar is making good use of his one night off that he's getting this week. I will try to churn out a few more videos before popping into some random church on Sunday morning. Since I do not regularly attend the same church over and over, but I do pop back to churches from time to time. It's interesting to see what different groups of people are like. Hear what message is being preached, and just see, okay, we'll pop in with the Lutherans this time, or pop in with the Mennonites, or the Catholics, or the Presbyterians, or the Baptists. But at this point, it feels more like because at the end of the day, you don't need to go anywhere. The house of God isn't a fucking building. But it is interesting to try to understand other people and understand what messages are being preached. Heck, it's interesting even to listen to recorded things you can find on YouTube of people that you are pretty clear that are demon-possessed and are terrible, awful people. Like those televangelists, the prosperity preachers of those mega churches like Kenneth Copeland and stuff. I'm pretty sure either that man's possessed by demons or he's possessing the demons. Absolutely, completely insane and completely evil. But the fact is, his fucking shit, people sent him millions and millions of dollars.
And his churches are packed full of like thousands and thousands of people, and there's millions of people that actually actively listen to this guy. And heck, you've seen like numerous politicians, be in situations where they're actually having to publicly meet with him, and you can see, regardless of what side of the fence the politician's on, they're like, even they are a bit creeped out of by this guy. And of course, there's politicians, both that I consider very not respectful and very respectful as people, who I've seen interact with them in public spaces, and you can see, like, no matter who they are, just the amount of uncomfortable that they are around this person. They're like, what the fuck, what am I talking to? But it's just the fact that it's just all those people are listening to someone like that, who is clearly completely fucking just, I don't know, what word properly describes just how terrible Kenneth Copeland is. Yet there's so many people that would like insist that he is, like the voice of God or something. Then again, when it comes to God, one, I'm a very strong supporter that, one, I don't consider hell justifiable. I don't think it's right to force anyone to believe in any religion. I believe very strongly in freedom of speech and freedom of religion. As long as your religion doesn't involve hurting people, then that's fine. And of course, there's always going to be extremists in every group, though some groups the default is. And of course, many groups have split into denominations. I will say this, I'm not a Catholic, but I find the buildings that, like especially the older, centuries-old cathedrals, to be very beautiful. That's more so me admiring the architecture and just the human ingenuity that it would take to build something like that. It's incredible. Heck, I remember seeing footage in videos of Notre Dame in France, as well as, I don't remember the name, but there's like huge, enormous cathedrals in Germany that I've seen footage of, and it looks beautiful and it looks impressive. So it's just fascinating that people could build something so impressive. I mean, one, the amount of intelligence it would take to plan and build such a thing, and just the amount of skill it would take. That, and I'm an admirer of art, whether it be beautiful architecture or hentai. That being said, it's just, one, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, but I also believe no one should be forced to believe something against their will. And I believe no one should be punished in this life or the next for who they do or do not believe in. But I think at the end of the day, the most important things is just, as far as I'm concerned, what I think is right is to love God, to love justice, and to love what's right. But of course, there's many debates on that, but I feel my view on it is objectively true. But I guess most people would feel the same. But I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. I'll probably link it in the description. It was like a 7-hour long video, but there's a video I was talking about, like, there's a lot of times I would go and walk around at nighttime. Wouldn't be able to do that anymore because there's cameras everywhere, and people would probably think I'm doing something debaucherous or something. But I would go around when I was very young, and I would go up to churches, and I would just sit on their doorsteps or sit on their staircase and just read the Bible in the dark. Or I'd sit up next to the door that would lead into the opening of the church. And I would just sit there quietly with my back against the door, with my head actually resting against the frame of the door itself, just absolutely quiet. Just listening for anything I might overhear. Then again, I'm the kind of person that a lot of times I didn't like the idea of being very showy in a church or something. But a lot of times I'd be in a separate room or something, or somewhere by myself, and I'll pray and sing to God that way. Because at the end of the day is this, it's more important than stuff be between me and God. Yes, community is important, and so is witness. But at the end of the day is this, whether it be in prayer, the way I live my life, or how I feel about things, whether it be worship and praise, or even study, or even anything like that, I care more what God thinks. It's not about trying to impress other people. This is one thing I always thought was kind of weird. Granted, I probably could use some actual fucking fasting because I'm fucking fat. But at that point, I'd have to be fucking honest with you guys. Like, if I'm suddenly cutting back on eating, it's because I don't want to be fucking fat. It's not out of religious piety. But there's people out there that'll go on fast and fast and fast, and they'll do it purely because they want to impress other people, and they want to be like, oh, look how religious and pious he is. But at the same time, it's like, you're doing that for show. Heck, doubly so if there's people that are actually pretending to fast and they don't actually fast. I will say this. There's times I've gone periods of time without eating, but it was in an interest of losing weight. Did not work, by the way. Did not work. When it comes to losing weight, it has to be something sustainable. That being said, in general, unless you're like pumping yourself full of Ozempic or fucking meth, losing weight is a long process unless your metabolism is just better than mine. Then again, probably doesn't help I got some Little Caesars earlier. So, and I got a bottle of Pepsi right here. It's really good. But main point being is this. I think it's more important people be sincere as far as, everything. And I feel that there's so many people that are they do shit just to be performative. Heck, there's a whole thing about that whole, virtue signaling bullshit people do, where they're just trying to, ooh, hear what good person I am. Or I'm going to condemn this thing, so I'm the good person to this. And a lot of times, again, it's just the people that are the most easily offended people are actually the worst people you ever meet, and they'll portray themselves as the kindest people ever, but they're actually the most vicious. And I've met so many people in religious situations who are, and by that I mean pastors, priests, deacons, bishops, who they're just driven by vanity and greed. All they care about is what people think about them and getting money. And it's just, the amount of, heck, even just cowardice and hate you hear from is insane. And you'd be surprised how many preachers do things like adultery and shit like that. But it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's interesting to know, there's people like Kenneth Copeland, and then there's so many people that are willing to give him so much of their money, and they base their entire view on God on him, and they actually view Kenneth Copeland as he's an angel, and he's a man of God, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. But yeah, I pop around different churches. Maybe at some point I might see about possibly sitting in a Jewish synagogue. Is that allowed? I mean, it's not like I'd ever consider converting for even a second. Technically, we believe in the same God, but I believe in Jesus. I have listened to YouTube videos of various rabbis, but that's more so just been in my study of trying to understand the word a bit more. But at the end of the day, while I am Christian, I don't think our laws should be based on Christianity. I don't think any country's laws should be based on any religion. Now, yes, if there are people in a certain country who's, like if a country has people believe in a certain thing, that's fine. Again, people should be open about that. If you have a politician, the politician should be open about what they believe in. I mean, imagine what hi, I'm Lunar D8 for president. I like hentai. It's like, I don't know. Heck, probably before the end of the year, we'll have Trump shaking hands with aliens on the White House lawn. And he'd be like, these are the members of the Galactic Citadel. What is the thing from the Mass Effect? We have fucking Turians and Asari and Solarians on the White House lawn, enjoying BLTs, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Those are good sandwiches, by the way. You ever get 2 pieces of bread, some mayonnaise, some fresh bacon, a lot of bacon? Everyone's stop being fat, Lunar. I'm and some lettuce and tomatoes and onions and some cheese. It's good stuff. Then again, I'm pretty sure the president would be able to have other food options too. Imagine there's just a bunch of bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwiches. That's good and all, but I wouldn't turn my nose up at that. But imagine oh, it's the president, Lunar. It's and we got McDonald's. Okay, sure. At that point, it's more about the company than the food. As long as the food isn't bad. McDonald's is still good. It's just, we could have done that anywhere. I'd be it's okay, you're hanging out with Batman. Or Bruce Wayne. One of those two. But never the same at the same time. Both at the same time. But you're hanging out with the Dairy Queen. I'm yeah, it's cool, but you could have gone to Dairy Queen by yourself. It's that also reminds me of Perfect Apocalypse. I'll put a link in the description to that. I don't know. It was a trilogy of games. I played the second one first, went back to the first, and then went to the third. What the fuck are we talking about? I don't remember. I have said so many times I was going to try not to go on tangents and get distracted. At some point that occurred. I'll say this. I would definitely never be the leader of anything. I can make jokes about oh, Lunar D8 running for president, because it's just funny to poke fun at what kind of politics I would espouse. But at the end of the day is this: I would fucking hate it. I would not want to be a leader of fucking anything. I just want to ramble about the bullshit I want to ramble about, which is whatever the fuck I feel like talking about at the time. It's hi, I'm random dude who likes watching anime and playing video games. We will now talk about random stuff. Heck. I like to read Warhammer books. Heck, over there I got a book of Twisted Wonderland. Basically a bunch of Bishonen characters, basically a bunch of cute anime guys and twinks and various, just oh, look, really cool outfits. Oh, by the way, I do have an Albedo figurine. It's fairly cheap as far as figurines are concerned. Heck, I put it in the Lunar's 526 playlist, which this video will be in. It's $40. But it was okay to splurge on something like that once in a while. So that's nice. That's cool. Staring at it right now. looking right at her tits. And with that, I would say anyone who was a viewer of mine has unsubscribed and left. But to be fair, no one was listening to this in the first place. So, Lunar D8, signing out to be gay and depressed elsewhere. Beyond that, I'm your tsundere streamer who doesn't stream. And thanks for joining me, and I hope you have all the hugs and head pats you could ever want or need. Bye.